All right, it's going to be a very brief video. I was just actually reviewing part one video and my script, and I realized I forgot to talk about a part that I said I would. That probably would be incredibly useful to actually getting that code to run on a real Dreamcast other than with DC load or something. So I just wanted to come back to a quick minute or two addendum going over that. So, and again, it's not a huge deal, but could be a quality of life improvement later down the road. So we do have our project here, and it did compile, and we get an elf, which is good. I guess let me actually, I deleted all of that to upload it for you guys. Let's see, just going back over that. So we're back. We have everything compiled again. But the issue is, what we have actually compiled is just an elf that is still missing the elf extension, which is fine, but you cannot run this on a Dreamcast as is, other than with DC load or something. So what we'd actually like is to get some files we're more typically familiar with. And what we can do to do that, sorry, bells and whistles going off. We're going to add one more step to our Meson file here. To actually get something we care about. So first up, we are going to reference a script that I will show in a second. It's very short. All it does is take your elf file, strip it to a flat binary, and then scramble it as well, which I think a lot of people do. So just showing how that could be also integrated into Meson so you wouldn't have to do that yourself every time. So we have a script, and it's called package Dreamcast. And then we are going to make a custom target that will use that. And in that script, there is not much going on. Pretty much what you would expect. SHL object copy to make a stripped flat bin, and then we'll scramble it into a first.read bin as well. So nothing shocking there. If you're on Windows, obviously this would probably be a bat file for you. I'll leave that to your own devices. Probably look very similar though. Keep that guy there. And I lost my example that I was copying from. Okay. So this custom target is going to output something, and we will call that our Dreamcast binary, and we'll use the common name, first read.bin. We'll use the name that most people use most often. Just a side note, if you're unaware, you don't have to use this name. It's just what the default ip.bins use, but you can have it be whatever you want. So we'll just go with the convention. So we're going to say that this custom target depends on exe. Oh my gosh. I'm getting like blown up on Discord. Hold on. Okay. Right. So this is going to depend on exe, which was our actual binary, which means we have to successfully build for this to run. The input to this custom command is going to be the output of our executable, which will be our elf. Except in Meson terms, it is going to output nothing. So we will just say fake because for reasons we want this to run every time. So the command that we are going to run is going to be our script we'll reference this bash script here or Windows bat file if you're in that camp. And then we're going to pass some special parameters to it, input and output. So this is the part that is actually calling your script. So we're going to call your script. The first argument is going to be input, and the second argument would be output. We're not actually using the second parameter here, but it would be passed as well. So just included as an example to show you if you wanted to change first.read to bin to the second output, it would, obviously call that for you as well. And we'll do build by default true, because again, we'd like this to run every time. So just a quick run through again. This part will depend on our project building, and it will take that elf and then make a typical set of binaries we would want. So now, if we compile it again, we get a slightly different output. We see that it built. There's 3 build targets now because custom target is another target. And our final step is generating first.read bin with a custom command. So that is why we called it that. Oops. And if we clean our build directory and then build again, we can get a more full output. And you'd see there was 5 steps. And if we look in that directory now, we see our elf, we see a stripped binary that is much smaller. It's 312 kilobytes. So that's how much binary data we actually have. And then we have a scrambled first.read bin that you could burn on a disk. So we wanted to, I don't actually think LXtreme Nitro runs stripped binaries. Does it? I don't know. Well, we can find out together. Oops. I guess it does. Okay, great. So yeah, that would be with running our Dreamcast ready flat binary. That's only 312 kilobytes. So I just wanted to add that in there because that can be kind of a crucial step as well for some platforms, Dreamcast included. And then just for completeness, and since we're already here talking about these things, I have a similar script for the PSP. So that is a very finicky platform that does require more to be done for it. So you have to run a couple commands after you get an ELF to actually get something called a PRX, which is just a fancy PSP ELF. You have to run the fix-up imports, and you have to do PRX generation. And then if you want something called an eboot.pvp, which is basically, it's like an exe file for Windows, kinda. Basically packs an icon and some metadata into a blob file, and that's what actually runs in the PSP UI. You have to make a param.sfo for some parameters and then actually pack that file. So then all of that gets done for me, and again, that's for wipeout. So definitely kind of good that you can run these post scripts. And I will say Meson does suggest that you do it like this. They don't really want you to be like having these commands as part of your Meson.build file. They would suggest you have it in a separate file that Meson will happily execute for you as a custom target. So that is the one part of this tutorial that is probably actually following the Meson guidelines. But just wanted to toss that in there. because I meant to talk about it and I forgot. All right, thank you so much. Part 2 coming later where we go over multi-platform.